Hi, welcome to Lilybug's Library. My name's Linda, and we're going to talk about what's coming out in April. So, pretty close to April, we're getting there, and only a few, another week or so. And these are mostly romances. I think there might be a thriller or two in there, but let's take a look. So, the first one and these are just, I'm not doing them in any particular order, and they're just ones that I saw and thought looked interesting. I'm sure there's tons more out there. So, the first one was called Seas of Seduction, and Dudley's on his way up. We'll see, because I'm in a different spot, so I'm not sure if he has room to come up, but he's going to try. All right, now you got to sit down. You can't just be in the way. All right, stay put. Okay, so Seas of Seduction comes out on April 4th. So it says newly appointed Naval Lieutenant Isaac Caldwell is tasked with returning the ship that Tortuga's governor lent him. He expects a smooth transition so he can begin hunting for the notorious Captain Thorne, a capture that would launch his career forward. What he doesn't expect is the stowaway. When Josephine Montclair first sets eyes on the sailor pounding on their door, it's love at first sight, or so she tells herself. Longing for escape and adventure, she seizes the chance to take her destiny into her own hands. Yes, she does. And when the handsome lieutenant returns her father's ship. So maybe sneaking aboard his ship wasn't the best plan. Isaac is furious when he discovers her and hands her off to a friend with strict instructions to return to Tortuga, but Josephine isn't ready to go home. Determined to chase adventure, she stows away a second time for the pirate hunt of a lifetime. So this sounds interesting, and it sounds as though she's really going to try to seduce him, I guess, and be able to stay on board. But we'll see where it goes. The next one really kind of sounds like a British sort of cozy, but I'm not so sure it is. And it doesn't say it is or anything. So this one's called A Terribly Savage Killing, and it comes out April 13th. And it says a funeral on a remote country estate descends into chaos and murder when the deceased proves unexpectedly alive in this latest Mr. Quay mystery. It says England, 1926. Following the death of the Viscount Featherstone, his closest friends and most hated family descend upon his isolated mansion for the funeral and, more importantly, for the will reading. Among the guests are Featherstone's first and second wives, with their assorted brood of ne'er-do-well children, along with the love of Featherstone's life, the woman he jilted almost 40 years before, Lady Constance. The only trouble is that Featherstone is very much alive and not at all pleased to see them. But when someone starts picking the unwanted guests off one by one, Mr. Quay must race against time not only to save the Unsworth's reputation, but their very lives. So it says it's the third novel in the Mr. Quay mystery series. And that sounds a lot like Agatha Christie or something along those lines. So I don't know, it'd be interesting to check out. Now, the next one is definitely a romance. This one comes out April 15th, and it's called Shots and Saves. And it says the Minnesota Mammoth's goalie just became her accidental roommate. There's only one problem. He's also the subject of her book, and he doesn't know it yet. So it says, my sublet is a scam. I'm standing in a Minnesota hallway at midnight, soaking wet, down at $1,800, and the apartment I rented doesn't exist. The man who answers 4B is shirtless, half asleep, and way too tall to be looking at me with that much patience for someone who just pounded on his door. Easton McKenzie is a professional hockey goalie. He gives me his coach for the night without hesitating. One night becomes a week becomes stay until you find a place. He makes me coffee every morning, oat milk, 3 sugars, on the counter before I'm awake, and never once asks how I take it. He just knows. I'm in Minnesota to photograph the anonymous maker, a mystery craftsman whose hand-built furniture has the design world obsessed. No one knows who he is. I need him for chapter 6 of my book, and I'm not leaving without him. Then I notice the sawdust on my roommate's sleeves, the closed door at the end of the hall, The joinery on his coffee table matches every piece I've photographed across town. Oh no. Now I'm sharing a bathroom and a secret with the man I'm supposed to be professionally documenting. He lets me into the workshop at 2 a.m. to photograph his hands. He cooks for me after bad games without making it a thing. The line between subject and roommate blurred 2 weeks ago. The line between roommate and something else is blurring now, and he touches me like I'm something he built, carefully, like he already knows where I'll break. Oh, that sounds good. I'm not it says it's a standalone hockey romance, and I can't say I don't think I've ever read a hockey romance, but I might read that one. It does sound really good. So the next one comes out April 21st, and it's called What We Kept Silent. So it says Bree Waters has always loved Paris, yet she never imagined she'd be forced to flee the City of Lights to escape the shadow of her past crimes. Sorry, I lost my place here. Here we go. But when her brother, Ty, is arrested for accessing confidential patient files at the Vermont hospital where they both work, Bree can't risk getting caught in the crossfire. From the safety of her Paris hotel room, Bree learns that Ty's crimes may be worse than she feared. Police remain tight-lipped, and her parents and perfect older sister, Amber, are divided about Ty's guilt. Bree wants to trust her brother, yet he's been in trouble before. Mysterious texts force Bree to investigate from abroad, and she finds herself entangled in a web of deception, blackmail, and murder. Pressures mount, and she races home, one step ahead of the police, and bands together with family, her best friend Zuri, and crack PI Art Visser to dig into Ty's claim of innocence. Oh my. And if you look at that picture on the cover, it looks really intense. So the next one is called The Next Big Thing, and it comes out April 21st. And it says, She can't cook, he won't leave, and the honest thing coming out of the kitchen, and the hottest thing coming out of the kitchen might just be their chemistry. When Cora Lockwood's boyfriend betrays her by stealing her idea and tanking her career, her perfect life collapses, leaving her with a battered reputation and a one-way ticket home. Returning to Sunrise, North Carolina, Cora plans to sell her grandmother's cafe and move on. But the salty spoon isn't empty. It's been taken over by Jack Harlow, the stubborn chef who's staking his future on bringing her family's recipes back to life. With a developer circling and long-hidden secrets bubbling up, they've got 30 days to fight over the cafe's fate. Sell it or save it, and neither plans to back down. Oh boy. Okay, so that sounds good. I'm just going to move this a bit so you can see Dudley a little better. He's, I don't know if you can't see much but his ears, but he's curled up on my lap now. But there we go. That's pretty good. Okay. So the next one is April 21st comes out, and it's called Mr. 2 out of 10. That doesn't sound very good. It says live-in carer Bo Armstrong expected to be evicted the moment Sir Geoffrey died. The grand house she'd quietly called home was always destined for his nephew. And it is. Max Fitzroy inherits the house, but the garden, the development-ready land worth millions, now belongs to Bo. Max is furious. He thinks she manipulated his uncle. Bo thinks Max is entitled, arrogant, and far too used to getting his own way. There's just one problem. The properties can't be sold without both signatures. Oh boy. Which means they're stuck under the same roof, but their history makes it worse because moments ago, in a reckless moment of heat and bad judgment neither has forgotten, they crossed a line. Now every argument crackles, every glare lingers, every touch feels like a challenge. And the longer they're forced together, the harder it is to tell what's resentment and what's desire. And it does say this one is a sharp, spicy enemies to lovers, forced proximity, miscommunication, romance, packed with drama and explosive chemistry. Okay, so I probably won't read that one, but it does sound good. So the next one, I guess it caught me because of the title of it. It's called Charlie in Progress, and it comes out April 14th. And it says Charlie Young has always been someone else's something. Alex's younger sister, her parents' afterthought, the fun distraction in a man's life, but never the main event. Now she's hoarding a major secret. She's pregnant by accident with a man who made her feel safe until he politely made it clear that fatherhood wasn't in his plans. Back in her childhood home, wedged between a disapproving mother, an absent father, and the constant reminder that her brother is the family favorite, Charlie has two options: keep pretending she's fine, or have a full blown identity crisis at the dinner table. Honestly, it could go either way. Between secretly throwing up at work, questioning whether she even wants to be a mom, and finally realizing she's really good at her job, yes, that's true, Charlie starts to wonder, has she been waiting for permission to take her own life seriously? So that sounds really good. And it says that it's about growing up late, letting go of expectations, and finally stepping into the spotlight of your own life. So that sounds interesting. I need to get rid of this page, Dudley. There we go. Okay, one moment. Just let me take a sip of my tea here. I made a tea today that one of my pen pals gave me, and it's not one I've tried before, and it's called Indulgence Coffee and Cream Cookies and Cream by Tetley. So I don't really know what it's going to taste like, but we'll find out here. Hang on till I'm sure this has a handle somewhere. It's a new teacup, so I'm turning it around, finding the handle. All right, let's see here. It does taste like cookies and cream. Interesting. Kind of like it. Hmm. Okay. And it's raining out today. It's raining like crazy, and it's dull and chilly, and so it's a good day for a nice, indulgent cup of tea. All right, so the next one I have comes out April 1st, and it's called Legacy Rewritten. And it says at 52, Astra Sierra's world shattered when a devastating medical misdiagnosis claimed her husband's life. This tragedy, I can't talk today, this tragedy became her catalyst. Driven by fierce determination, she channeled her grief into educating and empowering others to expose the unethical corporate practices that operate in the uncivilized shadows of legality, prioritizing profits over morality. Zeelan Rosen wore the mantle of a powerful CEO, embodying his family's esteemed legacy. However, as he embarked on the daunting task of documenting this history for his daughters and granddaughters, he found himself blindsided by a chilling revelation. Ooh. The truth uprooted decades of lies, forcing him to confront past wrongs long buried and to decide whether to dismantle the corrupt hair. Okay, I promise it's not first thing in the morning. I don't even have the excuse of a bad night's sleep. We'll try again. Decide whether to dismantle the corrupt hierarchies or pass them on to his granddaughters. The looming question hangs heavy. Which loyalty will ultimately prevail in this tangled web of relationships, family, friends, colleagues, or the seductive call of money? That money always has a seductive call, doesn't it? All right, so that one sounds excellent. The next one, another one that I really love the cover of. It just looks, I don't know, it looks very sweet. It's called $1,000,000 Marriage, and it comes out April 14th. When Elsie's brother announces his divorce and their no nonsense grandmother cuts him from her will, Elsie makes her soon to be ex Petra a desperate proposal. Pretend to be happily married through the holidays and split the inheritance. Then they can finalize their divorce. But Petra doesn't want money. She wants the love of her life back. Over 3 chaotic holidays, old wounds reopen, new truths emerge, and sorry, I don't know why these stick together so bad sometimes. And pretending begins to blur with reality. As Petra fights for happiness instead of stability, and Elsie wonders if she's ever stopped loving the woman who broke her heart, they must face what really ended their marriage and what it will take to rebuild it. Full of messy, real love, $1,000,000 Marriage is a reunion romance for anyone who's ever wondered if too late could be just in time. So that one sounds excellent too. I'm looking at the camera, and I kind of feel like I'm crooked. So if you have to go like this to to watch, I'm sorry, but with a laptop on my lap and Dudley on my lap, and this is probably about as good as it gets today. So the next one is called Wicked Women, and it comes out April 14th. And it says it can be read as a standalone. So it says Detective Kim Stone knows from the moment she looks down on Ashley Reynolds that this is no ordinary crime. No one has a bad word to say about this loving wife and mother. So why did someone murder her and wait to make sure she was dead? Ashley was a social worker, and some claim she tore families apart. But her husband is also acting strangely, planning to take their daughter and leave town. Did the threat to her come from home or work? Then another woman is killed in the same cold, calm way. Nadine was a honey trapper, and the men she tricked blamed her for destroying their marriages. Someone clearly believed Ashley and Nadine were wicked and that wicked women deserved to die. But then a third woman is murdered. Kim and the team can't find anything that even the sickest mind would find fault with. Certain that time is running out, they search desperately for something that links their victims. And then Kim realizes something that chills her to the bone, because if she's right, the worst danger is yet to come. Oh my goodness, that sounds good. That sounds really exciting. So I'm there for that one. The next one is the closest thing I think we have on the list to a cozy. This one is called The Afternoon Tea Murders, and it comes out April 29th. And it says London 1942. Miss Jane Treen is at her desk in Whitehall sipping a strong coffee when she receives an urgent message about her colleague, codebreaker Arthur Salanto. He's in danger in Devon, and Jane needs to get there sharpish. But before her bags are properly unpacked, the local tea shop owner in Arthur's village is found lying amidst the scones and tea cakes, and she's dead. When Jane arrives, it quickly becomes clear that the murder is a half-baked attempt to curtail Arthur's current code-breaking mission. But how? There seems to be suspects at every turn. Is Arthur's boss going to extremes to cover up his incompetence? Can the tea shop owners be trusted? And what about the secretary who seems to have secret links to the village tea shop? Spurred on by scones and clotted cream, Jane and Arthur start to whip up a theory as to who the killer could be. But as they begin to make progress, someone else is murdered, and it looks like Arthur could be next. It's clear they need to solve this case quickly before tea time is over and Arthur meets a sticky end. So that one does sound like a cozy, most definitely. So I think that one would be good. So the next one is a romance, and it comes out April 23rd, and beautiful cover. It's called Safe Haven, and it says London 1942. Miss Jane Treen is at her desk in Whitehall sipping a strong coffee. Oh, okay. Somehow I put the same thing for two different books. So that's not what Safe Haven's about. Let's see if I have what Safe Haven's about. Okay, I'll find you that in a minute. We'll save that one for the end. I'm a hot mess today. Okay, the next one is going to be called Midnight Haze, and it comes out April 24th. She's the queen of pop. He's a sports god. Together, the press is feral. When Sienna is spotted leaving her own end of tour after party in a fierce lip lock with the sports world's favorite dreamboat, she never could have anticipated the public's response. Kind of sounds like a Taylor Swift story, doesn't it? Um, as so Sienna August, I guess, starts trending, her hope of one night off the charts chemistry and heat is lost. When Sienna and August's managers cook up an altogether different plan. Okay, so excuse me. So it's Sienna and August. Yeah, that sounds like something the press would do. Sounds just as silly. With a lot to gain and seemingly nothing to lose, the pair agree to fake date for a month. But when scandal breaks and Sienna runs to Lavender Creek, she's shocked when August insists on following her to the small town she loves. The last thing she expected was to want to never leave and for August to stay forever. But with the city lives they left behind still looming, can Sienna and August find their escape within each other? That sounds sweet. I do, and not to say it's not going to be an amazing book, but I do feel like that's kind of been done before. So we'll see. I'm hoping the author does it justice. So the next one has a bit of an odd name. It's called The Analyst and the All-Star, and it comes out April 9th. So it says Daria Holloway is the baseball world's best kept secret. By day, she's an overlooked analyst in a male-dominated world that refuses to hear her voice. By night, she is the Oracle, an anonymous blogger whose predictions are gospel to the very men who ignore her in the daylight. Enter Isaiah Crush Crawford, the all-star of a rival team who is as famous for his intensity as his talent. He's complicated, private, and the one sports figure Daria knows she must stay far away from. But when his career stumbles, excuse me, when his career stumbles, the cheering crowds turn into a suffocating cage. He doesn't need a fan. He needs someone who sees beyond the superhero cape to the man beneath it. When Daria risks her anonymity to help Isaiah find his swing, a forbidden romance ignites. But as Isaiah battles his demons and Daria fights for her place at the table, they realize the hardest pitch to hit isn't a fastball. It's the curveball life throws you when you fall in love. So that sounds cute too. I like the happily ever after ones. They, I don't know. They're just very sweet. Speaking of sweet, this next cover looks very sweet. It comes out April 3rd, and it's called Hopes and Dreams at the Chocolate Pot Cafe. And it says, Life at the Chocolate Pot Cafe has never been sweeter for Tara Porter. Nestled on Castle Street in Witsboro Bay, her cafe is thriving, her friendships are close, her foster parents are back where they belong, and she's finally let herself fall in love with artist Jed Ferguson. For Jed, returning from Australia feels like coming home in every sense. His teenage daughters have settled, his gallery opening is a success, and with Tara by his side, the future looks full of promise. But the past can't stay at bay forever. When Tara's estranged foster sister reappears, old wounds resurface, and when Jed is reunited with 12-year-old Aaron, a boy he once believed was his son, secrets unravel and loyalties are tested. Now Tara and Jed must decide whether facing the past will shatter everything they've built or hope it gives them the strength and courage to dream again. Oh my, sounds like a lot of laundry is going to come out in that. Okay, so the next one is called The Life Rules of Hilda Pride, and it comes out April 19th. And it says, Friends let you down, romances don't last, and the only person you can rely on is yourself. Hilda believes this, so why is she still feeling so lonely? Then life throws Hilda a curveball, an unexpected inheritance, a trip to Ireland, and a huge but crumbling stately home that might just one day be hers to keep. Still stuck in her ways, Hilda is determined to tackle Mayfield Manor alone, but renovating a mansion single-handed might be beyond even her. What Hilda needs is friends, so for the first time in years, Hilda Pride dares to lower her defenses, and everything in her world shifts in an instant. Hilda could never imagine what happens next, but it will change her and the community forever. That sounds interesting. Um, it's not really a romance. It's more about almost like a coming of age novel. So that could be really good. And I don't know, that's my life plan to, have some person I don't know leave me an unexpected inheritance and a crumbling manor in Ireland. So or Scotland. I'm not picky. So the next one is called Light Me Up, and it comes out April 28th. And it says Addie always loved a plan, and hers involved going to the same college and marrying her middle school sweetheart. But when Addie's mom dies and she's forced to move to another state, she finds herself boyfriendless and stuck in a town that's main source of income is an amusement park. Luckily for Addie, her new neighbor gets her a job and brings her into a friend group that's known each other since diapers. But there's one person in particular Addie can't seem to stay away from, even when her neighbor warns her against it. Asher is broody and dangerous, and the completely opposite kind of boy Addie would ever date. But why can't she keep her eyes off him every time he enters a room? Feeling torn between the boy she left behind and the one who starts to see her for the person she's becoming, Addie finds herself on a roller coaster of emotion. Can one summer alter the course of your forever? Addie is about to find out. So that one sounds cute too. So that's the last one. So let's check out Safe Haven. Just give me a moment here. I'm going to see if I can bring it up and read what it actually says about it. I don't know. I mean, sometimes you're copying and pasting these things and trying to get your notes together, and apparently that one just didn't quite work. All right, so I'm just going to search it and see if that brings it up. 1 second. There it is. All right. Now let me see what it actually says about it. That beautiful cover. All right, so it says Bailey Jones built a career writing love stories about brooding heroes, but in real life, she's never had her own happily ever after. Not with him. Rhett Munro was her first love, the boy who used to toss her into the lake every summer, and the man who walked away without looking back. Now he's back, ex-Navy SEAL turned security specialist, focused, intense, and he's not here for the memories. Because someone is watching Bailey, sending messages that feel a little too personal, too obsessed. And Rhett is not letting her out of his sight. He takes her to the one place a stalker won't find her, Cedar Shores. But for Bailey, being stuck in close quarters with the man she never stopped wanting is far from simple, especially when Rhett watches her like she's something worth guarding, like she's his. The tension that used to shimmer between them now crackles. Every argument is charged with desire, every touch lingers, and every heated look dares her to remember how good they could be. She spent her career writing men who would burn the world down for the woman they love. Turns out she grew up with one. Ooh, that sounds really good too. Okay, so lots of good love stories, lots of, interesting books. So I have a feeling, I haven't got my April TBR ready yet, but I think it's going to be a romance month because some of those sound excellent. So that is what's coming out in April. So I hope you found something in that list that strikes your fancy and that you are excited to read. And in the meantime, we'll continue on waiting for spring, and hopefully that'll bring some nice sunshine and better weather, and we can all kind of get out on our decks and balconies a little maybe, and go for walks and maybe enjoy that. So I will talk to you soon, and in the meantime, I will go and finish my cookies and cream tea and find something to do with the rest of my day. All right. Hope you have a great day, friends. Bye bye.